Our coverage tonight begins in Nigeria's parliament in the capital Abuja, where the House of Representatives has rejected a bill proposing a 6-year tenure for the president, state governors and area council chairpersons. Sponsored by Ikenga Ugochinyere, representing Idato North, Idato South Federal Constituency of Imo State, alongside 33 others, the bill also sought to mandate rotational leadership. This would alternate the presidency between the North and the South region and rotate governorship among the 3 senatorial districts in each state. The legislation aimed to amend sections 76, 116, 132 and 136 of the 1999 Constitution to promote inclusive governance and reduce the costs associated with 4-year electoral cycles. However, during Thursday's plenary, presided over by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, the proposal was rejected following a voice vote by lawmakers.
I rise to move that a bill for an act to alter the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended to provide for a single term of 6 years for the office of President and state governors, provide for the rotation of offices of President and state governors and chairmen of local government council among the inherent regions and zones, and to provide that all elections be held on a single day to be read for a second time. I so move.
Those against you say nay. The nays have it.
Thank you for staying with us. We now have joining us the National Publicity Secretary, NNPP, Ladipo Johnson. Ladipo, it's good to have you as always on the news. Is this the last we might be hearing from this particular parliament on the debate on single term, or do you expect a reintroduction before their tenure is over?
Good evening. Thanks for having me. Well, I'm not a clairvoyant, but this matter has come up several times, so it is possible that it will be raised again when I think the members of the House of Representatives that wish to bring it on board again do their homework more thoroughly. It's something that has gone on since President Obasanjo's time, if you recall, 1979, 2003 and thereabouts. We've had that conversation several times, but it hasn't gained ground, and I think that they need to bring up more or better reasons why they think that is the way we should go. A lot of people feel that we're grappling with what we have now, and that we need to sort that out before we now change to that. What is a shame is what I believe in is the elections on the same day. It will save costs, I believe, etc., having all the presidential, gubernatorial, and whatever elections on the same day. So maybe they might have to remove some parts of the bill and what have you, tinker with it, and then bring it back, as you said.
Let's establish if you are an advocate for a single-term leadership at any level in this country, and then perhaps you could talk to us about the pros and cons of a single. I mean, you mentioned already reduction in the costs and, you know, constitutional review. Some of the, I don't know what the argument is on that one, but just give us your perspective.
Well, personally speaking, I'm even more radical. I believe that we might need to go back to the parliamentary system. By the time this country is totally broke, if the country as an entity were an individual, we would have declared bankruptcy by now. The presidential system of government is so expensive to run. And with the 36 states that we have, it becomes, you all know, I mean, they're
But the
just trying to borrow
conversation, don't you
again.
think the parliamentary conversation is system of governance is not going to find, because, I mean, I can't remember correctly now, but I think there was a conversation by some lawmakers at some point earlier this year about, you know, thinking about the parliamentary system of governance, but that's not going now.
No, it won't go. It won't go yet. It will come as of necessity. It will come as of necessity. You see, the Nigerians love executive power. So those in power at the moment would not like to reduce their powers, if you get my drift, as we say. So it will come as of necessity. When Nigerians begin to realize that the form of government we run is too expensive, the recurrent expenditure that each state government, each local government, the presidential, the presidency, the recurrent expenditure for Senate, for reps, and what have you. We're spending so much.
Isn't the single tenor suggestion a middle point per se? If you're looking at the cost of governance and all of that, you still haven't answered I mean, we don't have the parliamentary system on the table. What we have on the table at this moment is single tenor. So I'd like you to speak on that.
Well, for me, I am not. I'm not too keen on the single tenor, 6 years single tenor. I'm not too keen on that. I don't think there's anything wrong with 2 4-year terms, and I just believe that several things have to be done, cost of governance-wise, etc., and then see how we move forward, especially with the individual or the party running the government and the policies that they bring out at each point in time. I keep telling people policies that might be good for today might not be good in 4 years' time. So that is what we have to look at. Now, the other thing they were talking about is the issue of rotational presidency. That again, I am of the school that it makes you lose the ability to choose the very best. It might be that the best at a particular time is from Warri, and then we say, no, it's come to the south, it must go to the north. But these things are there because we still have a lot of ethnicity, ethnic bigotry, religious bigotry going on in the country.
I mean, you can't evaluate or talk about the Nigerian polity without talking about our diversity. So if you say, I mean, you're arguing the point of rotational presidency against it, but other persons will also have valid points why they feel that that sense of belonging is even more important at some point than saying, I mean, does it mean that the only competence can be from one part of the country?
I agree with you, but that is when the primary purpose is that it is our turn. There is a national cake. What if we get to where we should be? That the job of governance is just to make sure that there is an environment for the average citizen to thrive, for his standard of living to increase, for the cost of living to decrease. You understand? If we get to that stage, then I assure you, you wouldn't care where Mr. President is from or Mrs. President, as long as things are being done and your business is flourishing. But because we've had bad governance, that is why people are insisting, it's like, oh, it's our turn. The Senate President must come to our community because it's going to be able to pull to that community so-called constituency projects, etc., etc.
So I wish we had more time, really. This is an intriguing subject that I would really have loved to speak with you about, but hopefully some other time. Thank you, as always, for speaking with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Staying with the Parliament, the Senate has approved President Bola Tinubu's loan request of $2.2 billion to partially finance the 9.7 trillion naira budget deficit for the 2024 fiscal year. The Senate, presided over by Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin, approved the loan after the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts, chaired by Senator Wamako Magatakada, APC Sokoto North, presented the report of the committee. The request, which was submitted by the President on Tuesday, is part of a fresh external borrowing plan to partially finance the 9.7 trillion naira budget deficit for the 2024 fiscal year. He further directed the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts to expedite its review of the request and present a report within 24 hours. Although the deadline elapsed on Wednesday, the committee submitted its findings during Thursday's plenary, leading to the loan's approval.
Recommendations. The committee recommends that the Senate approval or Senate for approval for 1, the new Senate borrowing plan of 1.77 trillion naira, equivalent to $2.209 billion at 800 naira US dollar exchange rate, to be raised from Euro bonds, sovereign sukuk, and syndicated loans. Prioritizing of Euro bond issuance up to approved amount. 3, utilizing funds to exchange rate adjustment of 1,740 naira to US dollar for critical capital projects. 4, issuing promissory notes and bonds to settle federal government liabilities and minimize debt servicing costs.
I commend the chairman of the committee, the Secretary General of Sokoto, and members of the committee for a job well done. The report is indeed well packaged and well properly articulated. Consider the fact that the job they had to do took them just 24 hours. This should have been something that would have taken longer time. They show sacrifice, you show sacrifice for the interest of the country by working around the clock to make sure that you get everything done. And not only done, but properly done. So we thank you very much, members of the committee. The chairman, you have done a wonderful job.
Meanwhile, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has strongly criticized President Bola Tinubu's recent 1.77 trillion naira loan approval, calling it bone-crushing and harmful to Nigerians. In a post on his X handle, Atiku accused the administration of mismanaging loans, prioritizing corruption over development. He also slams the National Assembly for approving the loans, saying Nigeria is sinking further into debt. Atiku expressed dismay over the country's return to heavy borrowing, recalling efforts during the Obasanjo administration to clear foreign debt. He warned that Nigeria's ranking as the third most indebted nation to the International Development Association highlights the risks of what he described as a dangerous loan frenzy. The Nigerian Senate has called for the deployment of additional security personnel to bolster safety in Abadam and Mate local government areas of Borno State. During Thursday's plenary, lawmakers urged its Committee on Army and Air Force to oversee the implementation of this directive, following a motion sponsored by Senator Munguno Tahir, representing Borno North. Senator Ali Ndume, representing Borno South, proposed adopting strategies akin to child special operations to tackle banditry, kidnapping, and the Boko Haram insurgency. In his remarks, Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin commended President Bola Tinubu and security forces for their ongoing efforts to curb insecurity. He emphasized the need for collaboration with neighboring countries to strengthen the fight against insurgency.
The Senate notes that for many years, Borno State has been bedeviled by insurgency, with communities facing one form of attack or the other every now and then. Aware that recently relative peace has been restored in Borno State due to efforts of the Nigerian armed forces, which are commendable. However, some communities are still besieged by insecurity as Guzamala local governments do not have any civil authority in place, no military presence, while Abadam and Marte local government areas need security reinforcement.
The Chadian government led the operation by their president. We are not saying that we should do that, but there should be a special operation because this problem is cancerous and is expanding. We are talking about them in Sokoto, Kebbi now. We are talking about them in Niger. They are going to Plateau. They are drawing the second cycle. The main purpose of government is security and welfare of its citizens. It's there in our constitution. We cannot change it. So everything should be focused on security. Because if we say it's Borno today, and we then need to discuss it slightly, saying that we should talk about it in 2 minutes, it will one day get to Kano.
We need to commend our men and women in uniform who are doing their best every day since the beginning of Boko Haram insurgency to secure our areas in Borno and elsewhere, and to also safeguard our people. Some of them have paid the supreme price. Some of them have been injured, and the problem of terrorism is all over the world.
Staying with security matters, the Defense Headquarters has confirmed the elimination of Munzo Yar'Adua, a notorious terrorist commander in the Northeast. Speaking in Abuja, the Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, said the military remains resolute in hunting down terrorists and their collaborators wherever they hide. General Buba emphasized the military's focus on dismantling terror networks, targeting logistic bases, and weakening terrorist capabilities. In the past week, troops neutralized 115 terrorists, arrested 238 suspects, including 51 involved in oil theft, and rescued 138 kidnapped hostages. The military assured Nigerians of its commitment to winning the fight against terrorism while minimizing casualties.
We recorded the surrendering of terrorist combatants and their families. And this was in Kaga local government area of Borno State. Troops also conducted offensive operations, thereby taking the fight to the terrorists, and arrested several terrorist collaborators in Kaga, Konduga.
Self-acclaimed leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Simon Ekpa, has been arrested by law enforcement in Finland. It was reported that Ekpa was subsequently sent to prison by a district court for spreading terrorist propaganda on social media. Ekpa was said to have committed the crime in 2021 in Lahti municipality. The Finnish National Bureau of Investigation, NBI, also arrested 4 other men over alleged terrorist offenses. A citizen of Finland and Nigeria, Ekpa has described himself as the leader of the separatist IPOB group since Nnamdi Kanu's incarceration. Finnish police say Ekpa's activities and social media rhetoric may have fanned the flames of violence in the southeast of Nigeria. Thank you for staying with us. The National Economic Council has mandated the 3 states of Adamawa, Kebbi, Kwara, and the Federal Capital Territory to present their submission on state policing within the next 1 week. The council, which met in Abuja while receiving several memos on improving the nation's power crisis, tackling food security, among others, agreed to present a consolidated position on state policing at its next meeting. Amadine Uyi reports.
The meeting was chaired by the Vice President Kashim Shettima. In attendance were state governors and stakeholders responsible for tackling Nigeria's economic decline. The forum deliberated on state police and received memos on efforts aimed at tackling food insecurity.
The State Police Council was updated with the submission of the establishment of state police, and it was reported that 33 states have submitted their positions, while 3 states are yet to do so. And these 3 states are Adamawa, Kebbi, and incidentally, Kwara, which is the chairman of our forum. And the FCT are yet to submit their positions.
Council also received presentation from the National Coordinator of the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zones, SAPZ. As you are aware, this is a special agro development program by the federal government working with African Development Bank. And the pilot states, Kano, Imo, Kwara State, Kaduna State, Ogun State, Oyo State, Cross River State, and FCT under Phase 1.
Also, efforts aimed at improving Nigeria's power situation was deliberated, including efforts aimed at increasing current national revenue by relevant agencies in the country.
The Council resolved that Nigeria needs a reformed and diversified electricity system, apart from the one from National Grid. It further observed that by empowering states, accessibility and affordability of electricity can be enabled, ensuring that all regions can effectively meet their specific energy needs.
The implications of the underfunding were discussed, and the Council resolved that they appreciated the challenge being faced by the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, and directed the Secretariat to study the submission as regards to the quantum presented by the Revenue Mobilization and Allocation and Fiscal Commission, as well as the legality of the request.
The Council also highlighted funds available in Nigeria's excess crude account, stabilization account, and natural resources account. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Let's now tell you that the Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF, has suspended its National Executive Committee Chairman, Maman Mike Osuman, over an unauthorized statement made during a recent council meeting in Kaduna. Osuman was quoted as saying the North would back a northern candidate for the 2027 presidency, a remark the ACF leadership described as his personal opinion. In a statement signed by BOT Chairman Alhaji Bashir Dalhatu and Secretary General Alhaji Murtala Aliyu, the forum emphasized its commitment to unity and rejected Osuman's unilateral stance. A committee has been set up to investigate the matter, with the ACF assuring the public of its integrity and adherence to collective decision-making principles. One of our headline stories tonight, the Lagos state government has unveiled its budget for 2025, themed Budget of Sustainability. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu presented the proposal before the Lagos State House of Assembly, outlining bold plans to enhance infrastructure, boost economic growth, and improve the well-being of Lagosians. The budget is guided by 5 strategic pillars: infrastructural sustainability, economic diversity, social inclusion, environmental protection, and governance reform. Our correspondent, Chidimma Ona, who monitored the proceedings, brings us this detail.
The Lagos State House of Assembly was the stage for Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's presentation of the 2025 budget, with lawmakers and stakeholders keen to hear the administration's roadmap for the coming year. In his presentation, Governor Sanwo-Olu highlighted the administration's plans to expand road networks and improve drainage systems to combat the impact of climate change. Infrastructure need dominates the Lagos State proposed budget for 2025, pegged at 3.5 trillion. The proposed budget allocates 1.7 trillion to capital expenditure, representing 59%, and 1.2 trillion to recurrent spending, accounting for 41%. He also emphasized economic diversification by exploring the non-oil sector, job creation, and developing Lagos tourism potential to boost revenue. These and many others are the highlighted areas for change and improvement. The Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly commended the budget's focus and alignment with the aspirations of Lagosians.
The year 2025 budget is proposed as a budget of sustainability, which is above the 2.3 trillion presented by Governor last year. Is a confirmation of our commitment to sustainable development and economic growth.
Reactions from observers were positive as they expressed optimism about the ongoing progress and the prospects for the future.
It breaks down how they are going to get the money, how through the tax revenue and the federal allocation. So for me, it is a welcome budget, and I think it's going to help the Lagosians.
Whatever we bought like 2,000 naira some months ago, we are more or less buying like 3,000 now based on the exchange rate and all that, the economic downturn and the way things are. So I was even expecting something more than that. In fact, last year one was like 2.3. I was even expecting that we're going to be talking about 4.3 trillion this year.
As the 2025 fiscal year approaches, Lagosians will watch closely to see if the budget of sustainability truly delivers on its promise to create a better, more inclusive and resilient Lagos. In Lagos for News Central, I am Chidinma Ona.
Let's hear a bit more from the presentation at the State House by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu.
Honorable members of this House, I hereby present the highlights of the textual allocation of the 2025 budget. Under the economic affairs, a total of 908.699 billion naira is estimated. Under the environment affairs, a total of 233.176 billion. Under the health sector, a total of 204.005 billion. Under education is a total of 208.376 billion. Under security, safety and public order is a total of 124.073 billion. And under our social protection, it is a total of 47.077 billion naira. So Speaker, as you will note, the budget size is made up of a recurring expenditure of 1.239 trillion, which is about 41%, and a capital expenditure of 1.766 trillion, which is 59%, which shows that it is a 41 overhead, recurring overhead, to a 59 capital expenditure project. The debt financing, which is within our fiscal sustainability parameters, we shall continue to be within those parameters, which consist of both external and internal loans and bonds.
After 1 week of condoning of the Ikeno-Busy end of Umuahia-Okigwe Road, the General Commanding Officer, 82 Division, Olushola Dia, has ordered its reopening. The road was made inaccessible following the killing of 2 soldiers in an ambush last week Wednesday at Ikeno-Busy checkpoints. The traders at the Onimo market in Obowo local government area are equally appealing that the markets be opened for trade and commerce to resume. Let's head on now to aviation. Nigeria's Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has announced plans to establish a special team of marshals to conduct unscheduled inspections at airports across the country. The initiative, disclosed in a statement by the Minister's Special Advisor on Media and Communications, Tunde Mashood, aims to enhance professionalism and ensure high standards of hygiene in airports nationwide. The marshals, drawn from the media, state governors' representatives, non-governmental organizations, and other stakeholders, will evaluate airport operations and report directly to the minister. Moshood noted that the minister will use their findings to issue directives to the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria with the goal of consistently meeting passenger expectations and improving airport services. The Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, BORN, has reaffirmed television's pivotal role in advancing democracy, governance, and unity in Nigeria. The body reaffirmed this through a statement on the occasion of this year's World Television Day. Since the launch of the Western Nigeria Television, WNTV, in 1959, television has been a cornerstone of democratic development, bolstered by the 1992 deregulation allowing private ownership. Today, Nigeria boasts over 100 stations, many offering 24-hour broadcasting to inform and entertain audiences locally and globally. However, rising operational costs, unstable power supply, and currency devaluation pose severe challenges. BORN urges urgent government support to prevent a collapse of the sector. While lauding broadcasters' resilience, BORN emphasizes adherence to ethics, calling television an indispensable tool for fostering national cohesion. The Prisoners' Rehabilitation and Welfare Action has called for measures to improve the productivity of over 240 correctional centers across Nigeria, with an aim at helping them contribute positively to the nation's economy. The group says that correctional centers must be seen as avenues for skills development and genuine rehabilitation, and called for a change in orientation so as to make these facilities more productive.
Working with the Nigerian police and living in the police barracks. And I realized when I went to start looking at people who were in the CID cells, people who were then prisoners, it were called then, I was shocked by what I saw. That there were people who were innocent. I was shocked by the fact that even those who said they were guilty, that when you look at the stories around them, you knew that society needed to do something about that. The aim of this particular workshop is to begin to see how do we make correctional centers a place where people can pick up skills, a place where people can produce things that are valuable, and also a place where people can find that even the agricultural sector or the centers in that will become sustainable.
Let's move now to health matters. Evercare Hospital, Lekki, and Medical and Dental Consultant Services, MDCs, have established a strategic collaboration that will redefine healthcare delivery in Lagos. This collaboration brings together Evercare's world-class expertise and MDC's established local presence to launch the Evercare Clinic at Banana Island, ensuring residents have access to cutting-edge specialized healthcare services.
With Evercare Limited.
Since commencing operations in 2021, Evercare Hospital Lekki has consistently delivered services that meet international standards, significantly reducing the need for Nigerians to seek medical care abroad. This collaboration with MDCS represents a pivotal step in making high-quality, accessible healthcare a reality for more Nigerians.
We are a hospital that has one primary focus, is quality and ethics of healthcare. So we do not compromise on quality and ethics. We have a very strong governance structure. We ensure proper training for our staff. We ensure the proper attraction and hiring of the right people. And so patient care for us is an important milestone that we want to achieve from a quality perspective.
The launch was attended by dignitaries and health practitioners. This milestone underscores Evercare's mission to make healthcare reliable, accessible, and patient-centered. The Evercare Clinic at Banana Island will offer a comprehensive range of healthcare services, including advanced diagnostics, specialist consultation, preventive care, and more. These expansions reflect Evercare's dedication to providing trusted healthcare solutions for individuals and families, supported by top-tier professionals and state-of-the-art facilities.
So one of our values and our core values within Evercare as a group, not only in Nigeria but across the world,
is impact. And how do we bring impact and how do we introduce better healthcare within the community? We get closer to the community. So we're not only focusing on curative medicine, we're also focusing on preventive medicine. So we want to make ease of access to care easier. So this is a model that we've picked up because we've partnered with someone. This is the first clinic that we have, but we're looking to do this also in low-income areas and also high-income areas as well. So
the new clinic is open to patients 7 days a week, with weekend clinics set to begin in the coming weeks.
The news continues in West Africa, where Mali's junta has appointed General Abdoulaye Maiga as the country's new prime minister, just a day after the dismissal of civilian leader Choguel Kokala Maiga. The announcement comes in the wake of Kokala Maiga's public criticism of the junta's lack of clarity regarding the transition to civilian rule. The former prime minister had condemned the indefinite postponement of elections initially promised for March 2024. General Abdoulaye Maiga, who previously served as the government spokesperson, now assumes the role of prime minister, further solidifying the military's grip on power. The decision is seen as a move by the junta to strengthen its authority amid growing international pressure and internal uncertainty over Mali's political future.
Le président de la transition, chef de l'État, vu la Constitution, vu la charte de la transition, vu la loi 2022-001 du 25 février 2022 portant révision de la charte de la transition, décrète, article 1er, le général de division Abdoulaye Maiga est nommé Premier ministre. Article 2, le présent décret sera enregistré et publié au journal officiel. Bamako, le 21 novembre 2024, le président de la transition, chef de l'État, signé général d'armée Assimi Goïta.
The Congress of South African Trade Unions, COSATU, expressed disappointment over some pension funds exploiting the two-pot pension system by imposing unnecessary fees on their members. Since the system was implemented earlier this year, the South African Revenue Service has received 2.2 million withdrawal applications totaling billions of rands. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority is currently investigating the fees associated with these withdrawals, as South Africans have withdrawn an astonishing 35 billion rand from the two-pot retirement system. In a recent appearance on Business Edge, Matthew Parks, parliamentary coordinator for COSATU, shared his perspective on whether pension funds are indeed taking advantage of the two-pot system to levy unjustifiable fees on vulnerable workers.
Two-pot pension reform is a COSATU initiative, a trade union initiative, to allow workers who are highly indebted, who are struggling with the rising cost of living, really struggling to take care of their families, to allow them some early access to the pension funds, to enable them to get some relief without having to resign from their work, without having them to cash out the entire pension fund. So the two-pot reforms does allow workers some access to the pension funds, and so it's been quite a positive thing. About 35 billion rand has been released so far to about 2 million workers since it came into effect on the beginning of September. But we have seen some pension funds exploiting and abusing this situation, charging excessive fees, we think, to workers. The average pension fund is charged about 300 rand to workers wanting to access this relief. But we've seen some pension funds charging twice as much as that, and they've not been able to justify or to explain it. So I think that's the one issue. We have had discussion with our National Treasury.
In sports, Nigeria's Edo Queens are confident of clinching bronze in Friday's CAF Women's Championships League third-place match. On the other hand, the Basketball Africa League have announced the tip-off date for its milestone 5th season in 2025. Stay tuned for more update with Ojinyechi Obaro.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
In the world of sport, head coach of Nigeria's champion Edo Queens, Moses Aduku, is optimistic that his team will beat rivals FC Marseille of Egypt in the third-place match of the 2024 CAF Women's Champions League to win the bronze medal after losing their semi-final match. At the official press conference held on Thursday ahead of Friday's match against Marseille, Aduku acknowledged his team's tough task, but insisted his team will fight to the last.
It's a football game. You win some, you lose some. But we are not done, just like you said. We are not out yet. We are fighting for the third place. So tomorrow, I'm expecting my guys to go all out and see how they can win the bronze medal.
It will be a good game. They have a very good team.
On his part, coach of FC Marseille, Ahmed Ramadan, stated that his team is fully focused and ready to face the Nigerian champions once again, having already met them in the group stage.
So it's going to be a good game for us. We also have a very strong team, and I think this will be a great opportunity to finish the tournament with win and get back home with the bronze, because it's so important for us if we finish in a positive note.
Banyana coach Dr. Desiree Ellis has been inducted into the South African Football Hall of Fame. Ellis was acknowledged for her work with the South African women's national football team over the years, which culminated in victory at the Women's African Cup of Nations in 2022. She joins other legends like Bafana coach Ephraim Shakes Mashaba, former national team captain Neil Turvey and Lucas Radebe, Patrick Ace Swalengo, Jemo Sono, and Nelson Teenage Nadler. The Ghana Football Association has announced two major decisions in reaction to Black Stars' 2025 AFCON failure. In a statement released on Thursday, November 21, 2024, the GFA announced the dissolution of the Black Stars Management Committee, headed by Vice President Mark Addo. Additionally, the Ghana Football Association has invited head coach Otto Addo to appear before its executive committee. The GFA also expressed its sincerest apologies to Ghanaians following the Black Stars' failure to qualify for the 2025 African Cup of Nations for the first time in 21 years. Finally, in the world of sports, the Basketball Africa League have announced the league's milestone 5th season will tip off on Saturday, April 5, 2025 at the Prince Moulay Abdallah Sport Complex in Rabat, Morocco, and culminate with the 2025 BAL Finals on Saturday, June 14 at the Sunbet Arena in Pretoria, South Africa, marking the first BAL game in Morocco and the first time the BAL Finals will be held in South Africa. The 2025 BAL season will feature the top 12 club teams from 12 African countries playing 48 games in Rabat, Dakar, Senegal, Kigali, Rwanda and Pretoria. 8 teams from across the 3 conferences will qualify for the playoffs in Pretoria, which will tip off on Friday, June 6 and culminate with the 2025 BAL Finals on Saturday, June 14. And that's it in the world of sport. I am Onyinyechi Barau.
And now on the international scene, the Illinois Supreme Court has overturned the conviction of former Empire actor Jussie Smollett. Smollett, who was found guilty of 5 counts of disorderly conduct for falsely reporting a hate crime against himself, has been appealing his case since his 2021 conviction. While the Appellate Court of Illinois denied Smollett's request last year, the Illinois Supreme Court has now ruled in his favor, citing due process violations. Smollett's case originates from a 2019 incident where 2 men seemingly attacked the actor for being homosexual. As police investigated, they discovered evidence that suggested Smollett had organized the attack himself, paying 2 brothers he met through the production of Empire $3,500 to play the part of the aggressors. Despite initially facing 16 felony counts, prosecutors dropped all charges in March of 2019. In early 2020, he faced new charges, eventually leading to his 2021 conviction. It's this sequence of events, the dropping of the initial charges, and the subsequent second round of charges that ultimately led to the Illinois Supreme Court's decision. Smollett was sentenced to 150 days in jail, 30 days of probation, and was ordered to pay more than $130,000 US. Prior to the reversal, He had served 6 days of that sentence.
And that's all tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. House of Representatives reject bill proposing a single 6-year tenure for the president, state governors, others. Senate approves President Tinubu's 1.77 trillion naira loan request. Lagos State Governor presents 3 trillion naira 2025 budget to State Assembly. And we also told you that Mali's junta has appointed General Abdullahi Maiga as new Prime Minister after dismissal of civilian leader. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. Good night.